All right, welcome back to Mr. P's homework help on this fabulous 9-2 lesson. We left off, we did this was Friday, we left off working through number 33 through 36. Kind of picking up where we left off, looking at finding some missing lengths. That's number 34 that kind of asks us what the missing lengths are. So we got a 2 here. Thinking about that, we got a 9 here, vertical length, and a 3 that makes this vertical length. That's kind of how we found that, because 9 plus 2 plus 3 is 14, which is this total vertical length. And then kind of something similar here. We got 3 plus 13 here. 3 plus 13 here. That gives me a total of 16, and I have 10, and so the rest of that length would be 6, so 16. So when this question 33 asks us, so that's what 34. When question 33 asks us what kind of polygon is a floor plan, we can count our sides. We'll just hash them as we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it is an octagon. That's not what I meant to do. Octagon. Looks fine. All right, we did number 34. That was copy the figure and write in the missing lengths. 35 asks us to find the perimeter of the room in feet. So we're going to be adding 3, 2, 13, 9, 6, 3, 10, and 14. So when I punch those into my calculator, I have 3 plus 2 plus 13 plus 9 plus 6 plus 3 plus 10 plus 14. Oops, 10, that should be 10, not 1. 10 plus 13. All right, not working with me very well right now. Plus 14. There we go, 60. So our perimeter is 60. And that would be in the units, which is not given, so just 60 units, right? It also asks us to find the area of the room in square feet, so we'll have to clear all. That'll take us to 16 times 14, right? You got the length of 14 here, and this length here is 16. 16 by 14 would give us square feet, so we have 224 square feet. Oops, feet squared. That brings this units, I almost didn't read that correctly, 60 feet would be our perimeter. All right, that is the finishing out 33 through 36. We can go back to our beginning then to kind of finish this lesson here. It asks us to find the area and perimeter of each, so I'll have P equals and an A equals. We got 6 by 4, well, looks about 6 by 4 rectangle gives us 24 units squared. And then our perimeter would be adding all those sides. So I know this side is 6 and this side is 4 if it's a rectangle, which it is. I can even count the boxes if you'd like. That gives me 12 plus 8 is 20 units. Number 2 gives me a perimeter and an area. So my area would be just 15 times 1, which is 15 units squared. My perimeter would be 15 plus 15 plus 1 plus 1, which is 32 units. 3 gives me 11 by 11 square, because those consecutive sides are 11. That tells me it's a square. So my area would be 121 units squared, and then my perimeter would be 11 times 4, which is 44 units. 4 gives me a perimeter and an area calculation. the area would be what 7.5 times 7.5 is. So 7.5, and I'll square that. That gives me 56.25 units squared. And my perimeter would be 7.5 times 4, right? Because it's a square. So 0.5 times 4. That gives me 30 units. Next, I have 1/2 times 2 to give me my area. 1/2 times 2 is just 1 units squared. My perimeter would be 2 plus 2 plus 1/2 plus 1/2. 1/2 and a half make 1, and 2 and 2 make 4, so I have 5 units for a perimeter. All right. Lastly, I have a situation with square roots. Good thing we just did a whole unit on that, right? So I have a perimeter and an area. My area is going to be square root of 6 times square root of 3, which gives me square root of 18. And then I think I'll write that out in as a simplified square root. So I'll rewrite that as square root of 9 times 2. That's 3 square root of 2. And that would be in units squared, right? If you want to know what that is generally, that would be 3 times a square root of 2, which is 4.24. Let's check out our perimeter then. We're going to have square root of 6 plus square root of 6, right? Plus square root of 3 plus square root of 3 would be 2 square root of 6 plus 2 square root of 3, which is going to be, we can check that out, 2 times square root 6 plus, oops, not 6, there you go, plus 2 times square root 3. That's 8.363. That's our answer as well. And that would be in units, correct? Right? Perimeter is in units. That's your 1 through 6, finding the perimeter and area of each of those squares and rectangles. Number 7 asked us a couple questions about a basketball court, which has a length of 28 yards and a width of 15 yards. Okay, so we got a length and a width. It's asking what is its perimeter in yards. We can even draw a picture maybe to help us. Length of 28, width of 15. There you go. Here's my width, here's my length. 28 by 15. We're finding its perimeter. We're going to add 28 and 28 and 15 and 15. 28 and 28 I know gives me 56. 15 and 15 gives me 30. So 56 plus 30 is 86 yards. Again, I'm going from yards to yards, so I don't have to change anything. But then it asks me what's the perimeter in feet. There's actually 3 feet in a yard. So I do 86 times 3. I get 258 feet. And ask me what's its area in square yards. So we can do 15 times 28. I'm going to use my calculator for that one. Times 28. And that gives me 420 yards squared. And then it asks what its area in square feet is. So I'm actually not going to just multiply that 420 by 3 because I have to multiply by 3 squared, which is 9. So I could multiply by 9, but I think an even easier way for us to understand this, we can rewrite these 29 or 28 yard situations and 15 yard situations as feet. So 15 yards is 45 feet, right? Just multiplying by 3. And 28 yards, if you multiply that by 3, that'll be like 30 is 90 minus 6, would be 84 feet. I'll double check myself though. 28 times 3. Yeah, that's 84 feet. So then instead of multiplying by 9, which is just 3 squared, right? Because we're multiplying by 3 feet, but we need to multiply it by 3 square feet. Instead of doing that, we can just convert our original dimensions we're given It might be a more clear way of doing that for some of us. So 84 times 45, that gives us 3,780 feet squared. I'll demonstrate that that is the same thing as, I'll divide that by, oops. I'll go ahead and take 3,780, divide that by 9 to show you that you get 420 yards. All right, that takes us to number 11. It says the figure below shows the relation between square inches and square feet. So we can see 1 square foot, and a foot is 12 inches. So 1 square foot would be what is given here, right? We have 1 square foot is the entire square, and 1 square inch is one of those boxes in that square. So like 1 box in the square is 1 square inch. So very, very different. It asks us how many square inches are equal to 1 square foot, so we can just take the dimensions in inches of our square here. We have 12 by 12, that gives 144 inches squared. Asks us how many square inches are equal to 1 square yard. So if we have 144 square inches, we're trying to get to square yards. We just said there's 144 square inches in 1 square foot. So we can just take each of these maybe and multiply that by 3. So our 12 square inches and multiply that by 3, and our other one gives us a 36 by 36 square, right? So instead of having the 12 by 12, just multiplied each of those by 3, so we have a 36 by 36 inch square. So 36 squared is 1296. So again, there's 3 feet in a yard. That's why I multiplied by 3 in both places. It asked me next, a pool table has a length of 10 feet and a width of 5 feet. What is its perimeter in inches, and what is its area in inches? So we're going from feet to inches. Maybe I'll draw a little picture. We double the length that it is wide. Here's 5, here's 5, here's 10, here's 10. So asking what its perimeter is in inches, it would be 30 inches. And then what's its area in square inches? Oh, almost forgot to transfer. We can kind of think of 10 feet as how many inches, right? We have to multiply by how many? We multiply by 12. So that would be 120 inches. And then making our 5 feet in inches, we take 5 feet times 12, and we get 60 inches. So if you're 5 foot tall, you are 60 inches tall as well. All right, now we can find our perimeter. That'd be 120. This one would become 120 as well. This one would become, 60. So 120, 60. So 60 and 60 make 120. So really it's like 120 times 3, which is 360 inches. And it's asked us, what is its area in square inches? We can take 120, multiply that by 6. Gives us 720 inches squared. Okay, so again, just making sure to transfer your units and multiply or divide accordingly. Next one asks about a boxing ring, which is a square and has an area of 400 square feet. So it's a square with an area of 400 square feet. Let me draw that. So we got 400 feet squared in this boxing ring. So I'm thinking, how long are each of the sides to multiply to 400? It gives me a 20 by a 20 foot side, right? 20 times 20 gives us 400. So we can say each of the sides are 20 feet, right? Not feet squared, just 20 feet long. And then finding its perimeter, we can just multiply 20 by 4, and that gives us 80 feet for a perimeter. 21 to 26 asks about finding the area. A square whose perimeter is 20 feet. So we have our square whose perimeter is, it's more of a rectangle, let's try again. Square whose perimeter is 20 feet. So total all the way around is 20 feet, so we can take 20 feet, divide that by 4 sides, and gives us 5 feet per side. So it's a 5 by 5 square. So we can double check our math by adding those up, but that will be correct. It also asks us to, oh, never mind, find the area on this. So we found the perimeter, which is good. That can help us find the area. I almost forgot this instruction. Oops. So 5 by 5 square would give us 25 square feet. That would be our area. Number 22 asks for a rectangle whose perimeter, asks for the area of a rectangle whose perimeter is 20 feet and whose altitude is 4 feet. Perimeter is 20 feet and altitude is 4 feet. So altitude is just give me its height. So if I know its altitude is 4 feet, that takes care of 8 feet of the perimeter, right? And I know the total is 20. So I can take 20 minus 8, that gives me 12. And I can split that up evenly between the two sides. It gives me 6 feet per side there. So in order to find the area, you do length times width. 6 times 4 gives me 24 feet squared. A rectangle whose perimeter is 20 feet and whose altitude is whose perimeter is 20 feet and whose altitude is 8 feet. So you got 8 feet, 8 feet. You take our 20, subtract 16 by that, right? That'll give us 4. And divide that in half. Gives me 2 feet per side. So this is my picture is not quite correct. Let's draw another picture. It's going to be a much more vertical rectangle, 8 feet by 8 feet. So this rectangle is actually a 2 by 8 or an 8 by 2 rectangle, which gives me an area of 16 feet squared. All right, last section. Again, find the area for 24 to 26. It asked me for a rectangle whose perimeter is 48 feet and whose base is twice its altitude. So I'm going to draw a rectangle whose base is twice its altitude. Hopefully it might be like 3 times, but it'll do. And we know the perimeter is 48 feet. So we can use an equation to figure this out. So we know its base is twice its altitude. So if its altitude is x, and we know its base is what then? Its base would be 2x. So I'm going to go ahead and think about how do I find the perimeter? I just add up the sides. So if these are its 2 bases, x and x, its 2 altitudes, if those are its 2 altitudes, x and x, its bases are 2x and 2x, right? And that's equal to, what do we say, 48 feet. That's a perimeter there. So then we can simplify both sides, or simplify our left side beginning would be 6x equals 48. It gives us x is equal to 8. We said x represented our altitude. So we know our altitude is 8. And our base is our 16. So if we're going to find the area, we do 8 by 16. That gives us 128 feet squared. Okay, so those pictures can be kind of helpful, but definitely rewriting that as a formula is super helpful. Perimeter is 48 feet, base is 1/3 its altitude. So same thing, I got 48 as my on the right side of the equation. And I got 1/3 of the base, whose base is 1/3 its altitude. So if its altitude is x, we got 2 altitudes, right, in a rectangle. The base is 1/3 of that. So 1/3 x plus 1/3 x. Then I'm just going to add the left side again. So I got 2. So like 1x and 1x gives me 2x. 1/3 and 1/3 gives me 2/3. So 2 and 2/3, essentially. 2 and 2/3. X is equal to 48. 2 and 2/3 is the same thing as 8/3, right? If we can multiply through there, that gives us 8/3. Because 2 we can also think of as 3, or each of those is 3/3. We can think of that as 6/3. So it's like 6/3 plus 2/3 gives us 8/3. So I'm going to rewrite that as 8/3. And then I can divide by 8/3 on both sides. I just don't like mixed numbers. There we go, 8/3. So 48 divided by 8/3. Oops. Yeah, it gives me 18, so x is equal to 18 here. We said x was our what? X was our altitude, right? So if we have a rectangle, it's gonna be real tall. So our altitude was 18. And then we can take 18 divided by 3, right, from that 1/3 to find its base, which would be 6. So we got a 6/18 rectangle. So we can, let's clear that. 6/18 gives us 108 feet squared for that question. Okay, so again, those pictures are helpful. Thinking about it, like, well, my base is 1/3 of its altitude, but the equations are really the way to work through those. And then lastly, a square whose perimeter is equal to its area. Okay, so I'm thinking perimeter has to be equal to its area. So if I represent each of its sides as x plus x plus x plus x is equal to x squared, I can think of that as, what is 4x? When is 4x equal to x squared? That's my question. Okay, so if we just think critically about this one isn't too hard. Isn't too hard to figure out. We can plug in a 1 there. Is that going to work? No, that's not going to work. We could think about plugging in a 2. 4 times 2 is 8 equals 2 squared is 4. That's not going to work. A 3 would give us 12 is equal to 9. That doesn't work. A 4 will give us 4 times 4 is equal to 4 squared. 16 is equal to 16. Looks good. Okay. So perimeter is equal to its area when there is each side is 4. So if I'm finding the area of a square like that, would be 4 times 4 would give me 16 units squared. Because I'm not given a unit like I have been previously. So 16 units squared would be the answer to that question. Again, just setting up an equation and kind of thinking critically through each of those solutions. Okay, hopefully that's helpful to you as you are doing your homework, as you're looking over everything. Hope you have have had a great weekend, and can't wait for another week of school.